Good to see everybody. How are y'all? Is this working? Y'all can hear me? Well, I get to speak to, I get asked to speak a lot of places and things like this or whatever like this, but this means a lot to me because it's a lot of people in our community, a lot of people I grew up with, customers, friends, and everything, so I'm really excited about being here. Hopefully I won't babble too long. But as Todd said, we graduated together in 1986. In 1989, I had gone to college, got out of college, didn't know what I wanted to do. Was working for the state thanks to my father getting me a job there. And a group of friends, we got together. I went to First National Bank, if people remember that. My dad co-signed. I borrowed $900 with two buddies of mine, and we opened up Big Mike's in September of 1989. Tracy Johnson and Chris Johnson. By November, I had bought them out. I thought it was my niche. I loved it, felt comfortable. And the first 2 years, I treated it like a house party. And woke up one day and didn't have anything saved up. My place was a wreck. The party just wasn't working, so that's when I decided I needed to become a businessman. I needed to take this serious. I could have a future in it. And I the first thing I did was to get a game plan. And that's when I learned how little things matter. I started cleaning my own parking lot, stocking my own cooler, mopping. I learned how important it was to have such a good staff and appreciate people. And that whole journey, what I'm getting to, is all these little things that I picked up enabled me to survive the flood and 2020. And when I talk to young business people, little things matter. My gosh, do little things matter? Anybody that owns a business knows how important it is to have a good staff, have structure, discipline. And if it wasn't for these things, I think we would have been a hot mess last year. There were so many restrictions, didn't know what was real, what was fake. And so we kind of closed, opened back up, closed, opened back up. But with some guidance from the community, I see people here that I talk to that own businesses. We fought through it, we made adjustments. One thing I've learned in being in business so long is that you have to make adjustments, okay? I thought I knew it all. I was hard-headed, didn't like, social media, didn't like the internet. I was old school. I didn't have a credit card machine until 1996. All I would take was cash. So evolving, listening to people. I know I'm kind of going around back and forth, but it's made me what I was today. And all of those journeys and all those mistakes I made and conquering those mistakes enabled me to survive this past year. My wife, I have to give her so much credit for the restaurant. I was the bar guy. She was the restaurant guy, lady. And so I've learned so much from her that I have to mention her, but she tells everybody, believe it or not, that she's the brains and I'm the beauty. I guess that's an eye of the beholder, but anyway, we, talking to other people across the country too about 2020, and I know in talking to people locally here who have businesses, the biggest impact for me personally was what it did to my staff. I mean, you might think of a bartender or a waitress as a college kid working their way through college or whatever, but we had lifers, and they have children and they have bills that they have to pay. And so that was my biggest struggle to try to open back up and to do anything. Now, the community was great. They started getting to-go foods and making an effort to try to help local businesses, which I still do today. I think all of us still do it today. I haven't eaten at a chain in 8 months, but so that I think that's very important. And that we try to be a community, okay, but we try to give to the community. My wife and I believe in karma tenfold, and so I believe that Bar Rescue, I believe how we were managed to get through this year is all karma because of giving. And I can suggest to business owners to just invest in your community as hard as you can. And I mean, even if it's a little thing, it's a $25 to a softball team, $100 to a church, or $200 sponsorship at a school, I've seen my business just thrive and strive on business, karma coming back around, helping people that need to be helped. And then when it was my turn to get helped, if you saw on the show, I had never been in that position before, and I'd always been the giver, and I had to put my guard down and take, and receive help. But I definitely believe that that's important to, be big in the community. The resiliency that I built over all these years. First of all, if you own a business, you know something's going to go wrong that day. It's not if, it's when something's going to go wrong. So to be prepared for me was huge, and it helped me when this COVID hit and some of these new restrictions, and then especially the flood. And I hate to keep going back that far, but that was just the most dramatic thing that I've ever been through. But having a plan and understanding that something's going to go wrong and learning from the mistakes I made in the past were huge. And I suggest that to everybody that that is or in a business or thinking about being in a business or whatever like that. Embrace your mistakes. Learn from them. I dissect them down all the way from A to Z. And what can I do to prevent this? And then what can I do to be better prepared if this happens again? Believe it or not, financially, the flood, after I recovered and the steps that I took, helped me be able to maintain what I did for the coronavirus for 2020. So the mistakes I learned from that travesty, even though I didn't bring it on myself, but it was a mistake that I learned from, not a mistake, but something I learned from, and I still use it today, some of the protocols and the things that we learned from that. So it's huge. Want to talk to me about staff and personnel. When people ask me how important employees are, I tell everybody this, and this is just my philosophy, how important employees are and how important it is to treat with respect and honor your employees. If I don't go to work tomorrow, Big Mike's still opens. If none of my employees don't go to work tomorrow, Big Mike's is closed. And I think that's in every industry. I don't know who owns AT&T. I don't know who owns McDonald's. So one thing I've learned over these 31 years of being in business is how important surrounding myself with good people, trusting them. And I had to do this through the coronavirus, and this is where I'm coming from. Trusting their opinions, trusting their advice, putting my guard down. A lot of people become a boss and they think they're better than everybody else. Stay humble. I've always tried to stay humble, stay on even keel, and always be willing to learn. I learn so much every day. John Taffer, first time we were off camera, said, "Big Mike, you've been in the bar business 27 years. I don't know if there's anything I can teach you." Well, guess what? He was wrong. Before he left, he taught me a lot of things that I do today. And then when I talk to bar owners, I tell them. So my point being, you can always learn. Always be open-minded. Excuse me. These food's getting to me. I think I love the fact that I came from $900 and what I have now. Dreams, so many of us have them, and I still have some that haven't come true. But I mean, the place we're at right now, the first time I ate Dee and Greg's catered food was out of their kitchen at their house in Shadow Springs. This was a dream for them. But I learned from people like that hard work, dedication, and just not giving up and not being afraid to fail. Okay, I talked to a young group a few weeks ago, and after it was done, they're all scared to death. Okay, who's not scared to go borrow $500, $5,000, $500,000? And they were all scared. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can do this. And how long this, that, whatever. And I said, your problem is you're afraid to fail. Okay, associated with sports. If Michael Jordan wasn't afraid to miss that shot, he would never take the next one. You got to take the good with the bad. So I told this whole group that you can't be afraid to fail, to be successful in business. If you get a good business, First 2 years out the gate, everything's great, but then it kind of settles. And then somebody else opens the same business. Somebody else, down the street opens a little better, but it's a little cleaner. And that's my point about adapting and still learning and staying humble. And the biggest thing that I learned out of the coronavirus is I'm sitting at home not being at my business, complaining about everything that I didn't have or couldn't do. I decided to change it around and be happy about the things that I do have. Because all I was going to do is make myself sit at home for 2 weeks, sad, no business, no this, that, whatever. But I reflected. It gave me a time to spend some time with older friends that were out of work. And it gave me time to really, really understand that life shouldn't be about what you don't have, car, house, clothes, money. But I am so blessed about what I do have. And if it all ends tomorrow, my reflection back will be that I'm the luckiest man in the world. Thank y'all.